They laughed at the way she held her cup. To the Arisen, posture was politics. Joints aligned like calligraphy, spines arched to show leisure, fingers folded in displays of lineage. The ambassador's cohort sat in a crescent of articulated limbs and polished armor, their cups set at the same angle. The human veteran across from them, Mira Kovács, held hers wrong. She wrapped both hands around the metal, thumbs pressed to the seam, as if warming them at a camp stove that wasn't there. Primitive thermoregulation ritual, the junior translator clicked, voice smoothed by the hall's acoustics. Humans simulate heat husbandry. Charming. Laughter rippled, soft and rehearsed. The Arisen ambassador allowed a faint shimmer across his mantle, delight. "We welcome your presence, Sergeant," he said, "and marvel. Your kind has survived despite design oversights." The laughter grew, polite and unkind. Mira set the cup down. Her hands were steady. She had new joints in both thumbs, polymer over bone. She had slept 41 minutes on the journey up. It was enough. "Ambassador," she said, and her voice turned the tiled air into someplace smaller. "I heard your soldiers sing on the orchard. I heard them laughing then, too." The laughter faltered. "What is an orchard?" the junior asked, feigning ignorance. The Arisen never asked to know. They asked to position. Mira looked past them to the window, to the pale curve of the planet below. "You called it Black Orchard. A ring of training stations in shadow, where your recruits learned to hunt. We were sent to prune it." A gardening metaphor. The ambassador's mantle rippled. "Fitting. I prefer plain language," she said. "So I will give you the whole thing." The room fell into the deliberate quiet the Arisen reserved for ceremony. They expected a story with angles and pity and a clean ending. They did not expect her voice to sound like a hatch ceiling. Months earlier, the briefing room smelled of coffee and dust and maps folded too many times. Black Orchard sat where the planet's night swallowed comms, a ring of small stations, each its own trap. One for stealth, one for masking, one for capture. The orchard took recruits and turned them into hunters. "Our job," said Captain Anders, "is to get in, get the trainers, and demonstrate to their chain that the orchard is rotten." He tapped the map with a knuckle. "No heroics. We do not kill them all. We make a removal so precise they can't ignore the pattern." He didn't say we make them afraid. He didn't have to. Mira watched the team listen. Myers with his grin. Uba's scratched helmet by her knee. Pike tapping a rhythm no one else heard. 6 in the room, 10 more in support. She had trained most of them. They trusted her to be the last one moving if anything broke. "Questions?" Anders asked. Uba raised a hand. "They like to clip tethers. Let people drift." "Counter tethers in Pack 2, Anders said. "Kovács, you carry." "I hate that weight," she said. "I hate losing people more." She took the belt. The hooks pressed against her hip, a quiet promise. If someone goes, you bring them back. Or you go with them. She squeezed the metal like a cup. Heat husbandry. Charming. The orchard wasn't black. It shimmered in false heat, a tapestry of thermal ghosts. "They built this like a riddle they always win," Myers murmured. "No one always wins," Mira said. They moved without chatter. The Arisen trained to hunt breath itself. Mira slowed their rhythm until hearts steadied. Slow in, slower through. Trap 1 took Pike, gravity yawning beneath his step. Mira clipped the tether before the panel finished opening, hauling him back with an economy of motion that looked almost gentle. "You didn't have to." "Save it," she said. "They're listening for gratitude." Trap 2 took Uba's drone, filament bite, ultrasonic song. Mira let it die. The orchard punished rescue. She saved what she could. The third was a corridor of orange light meant to expand pupils, to fake sunset, to tempt. Myers whispered about beaches, then bit it back. The orchard taught you to shame the need for warmth. They reached the trainer's hall at the ring's apex. No door, no code, a statement. Do not pass, Anders warned. Mira pressed her palm to the cold panel, imagining its tether points, the cargo lines that fed it. Anders' voice echoed in memory. Demonstrate, do not annihilate. We're not knocking, she said. We cut their string. Pike nodded. 1 weak seam, just like we guessed. They severed the line. The hull shifted, offended. 20 seconds of drift before retension. Just enough. They slipped through a maintenance rib the hull hadn't noticed. Inside, the trainers stood with postures of boredom. One turned. Observe. Intruders demonstrate curiosity. Curiosity kills. Myers shot the wall. Not the trainer, the hidden seam in a sculpture of leaves. Air hissed. The room recalibrated with a metallic grunt. You rehearsed this, one trainer said, disbelief cracking his voice. We rehearsed a dozen things, Mira said. This is the one you earned. They took the trainers alive. Anders meant it. Mira meant it. Limbs bound to obedience chairs built for other hips. The orchard's story turned backward. Message recorded, Pike said. When it loops, the orchard will teach itself wrong. Then they'll come, Mira said. And they did. The traps reversed when the recruits arrived. Lights went cold. Panels sealed. A web took Uba. Non-lethal, the system insisted. Instruction grade. The medkit read, compatible. It wasn't. The compound paralyzed Arisen muscle. On humans, it simply stopped the breathing drive. Uba went out quietly, like a candle remembering air. Myers swore. Anders ordered fallback. Mira stayed. It wasn't nobility. It was math. Hold the hall, and the message spreads. Fall, and the orchard learns nothing. An Arisen recruit stepped through the doorway. Linger, little thing. So you can practice? He came fast. The Arisen were built for bursts, humans for endurance, Mira for both. She let the first hit glance her ribs and flowed through it, never stopping. Movement without pause. When she didn't break pattern, the recruit faltered. She caught his limb at the joint, pivoted, and let physics write the rest. A second recruit stumbled on a seam she'd memorized. Geometry and skin. Human tricks. 2 more in the corridor, Pike said. 3, masked. Cut the hall again, Mira answered. Make it indignant. Myers' breathing crackled. Anders' channel went dead mid-word. Mira kept moving. Pain relocated itself to manageable corners. Why do you keep coming? The bound trainer hissed. You should conserve. Because you're still here. Because pity? Because you remain. He flinched, hearing the difference. Another recruit swung a balance stick. She let it thump her shin, ignored the numbing buzz, and pressed 2 fingers under his jaw. He slept. She set him down. Housekeeping. And then the orchard sent an instructor. Not armor, arrangement. His stance was art. Mantle name Verd, he said. Forecaster of engagements. Sergeant Mira Kovács. Your biology is entertaining. The surges. The self-harm for strength. It's not harm, she said. It's maintenance. You burn your tissue to make force. I pay now so I can move. Then you pay later. Foolish economy. Later exists. He erased space. She met him with presence, weight projected outward, into floor and air and memory. He nicked her cheek. She let him. He fainted. She learned his breath. Mantle up before cuts, down before sweeps. Your heart spikes, drops, spikes again, he said. You do not maintain a level. You can't hold level through shock. And yet you do not fall. It knows, she said. It just doesn't get a vote. He laughed once, metallic. Amusing. He went for her head. She stepped inside. Close range, human range, grip, pivot, pull. pull. Balance asked a question it couldn't answer. Why? He gasped. Because you're still here. He misstepped. Just a heel too far. She tapped his wrist. His weapon spun free. The room stilled. You will not record this, he whispered. I already did, Pike rasped over calm, alive. Everywhere. Verd stood, then placed his stick on the floor with care. Finish it. Make it clean. For the recruits. No, Mira said. They need to see you walk. He hesitated, then obeyed. Past the chair, past the seam, past the sculpture of leaves. Outside, Anders bled, but lived. Myers breathed, his hands shaking where Pike had pressed rhythm back into his lungs. Uba did not return. Mira knew the difference between not yet and not at all. They held the hall until the broadcast loop finished. The orchard learned a new rhythm. Doctrine would shift in quiet, clumsy ways, but shift it would. Months later, in academies with floors pretending to be oceans, Arisen cadets sat straighter as the xenophysiology lecture began. On the wall, a graph, human cortisol response under injury, small arrows. Here, the subject keeps moving. Here, the subject takes control. Here, pain and damage decouple. Humans exhibit a persistence cascade, said the lecturer. It is not infinite. It is not magic. It pays a cost. Our doctrine assumed the cost could be predicted. It cannot. Another slide. Arisen burst performance over time. Then a still frame. The instructor, Verd, placing his stick on the floor, walking out under a human's command. That posture, the lecturer said softly. You will learn it. You will respect it. You will fear it less than ignorance. We will no longer teach guaranteed ends, he continued. We will no longer train only for first-second dominance. We will no longer mock ritual heat husbandry. A ripple of uncertain laughter quickly swallowed. In your field notes, write this. When a human wraps hands around a cup, do not measure superstition. Measure maintenance. Doctrine changed, slowly, with errors. But it changed. On the station where the ambassador had once smiled, a new annex grew beside the hall. Not for trophies, for records that didn't end neatly. They called it the Orchard's Shadow. No one agreed who ordered it. The hush between notes said it was shame. Mira suspected it was Vaierd. Back in the Crescent Hall, the ambassador smiled again, but his mantle carried a new seam. You tell a vivid tale, he said. And yet, you're wondering how many of yours we killed, she said. War is war. Words are words, she replied. You taught your recruits that endings are clean. We taught one to walk. That's enough for today. He spread 3 hands. Today, he echoed, tasting ownership he didn't have. She lifted her cup in both hands. This time, no one laughed. They watched her thumbs on the seam as if she might unlock something invisible. Do you know why we do this? She asked the junior translator. He hesitated. To comfort yourselves? To stay, she said. Hands on heat, breath on rhythm, keep the machine running through shock. It's not romance. It's how we live long enough to do what needs doing. The ambassador's mantle flickered, color caught between thought and feeling. And what needs doing, Sergeant? Whatever's still here, she said. He sat back, and for the first time, the distance between them looked real. When the meeting ended, protocol told him to extend a limb in greeting. Mira didn't take it. She set her cup down instead. In the academies, the doctrine's final subheading read, Never assume the fight is over because you have a story about how it ends. Cadets traced those words. Some carved them into the undersides of their training sticks. The orchard grew quieter. The galaxy, hearing, learned to pause before speaking. And in the ambassador's hall, the young translator turned his palm up, human style. May I hold the cup as you do? He asked. Mira handed it to him. He wrapped his limbs around the metal, awkward, uncertain. He breathed. He held. He learned to stay. The cup kept his warmth when he passed it back, and in that small borrowed heat, 1,000 recorded endings loosened their grip.